Welcome to Boozy Movies, where watching movies and making cocktails is what we do.
I'm an American!
And today we are going to be floating upstream to find Colonel Kurtz and offer up 2 cocktails for the movie Apocalypse Now.
They're both hot.
A highly relaxing river cruise turns into a casual tour of war crimes, existential dread, and napalm-fueled bonding. Nothing says mental stability like chasing a rogue colonel through the jungle because someone in command thought it was a good idea. So we're going to start the way Lieutenant Kilgore likes to start his morning, and that is a little napalm in the morning.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Our second cocktail is up the river towards the end of the movie called The Horror.
So before we jump in the boat, let's go ahead and grab our surfboards for a little napalm in the morning.
Hey, buddy, you gonna shut the door?
We're going to be using Moonshine, ginger liqueur, blood orange juice, agave, Butterfly Pea Brandy and Luxardo Infusion, recipe in the description, pineapple juice, Tingala, and Midori.
Combine in a shaker tin 1 ounce moonshine, 3/4 of an ounce ginger liqueur, 1/2 an ounce blood orange juice, and 1/4 ounce of agave. Add ice, shake until chilled. In a Collins glass, pour in 1 ounce of Midori. Add Collins spheres and strain cocktail over melon layer. Combine in a shaker tin 1/2 an ounce Butterfly Brandy Luxardo Infusion, 1/2 an ounce pineapple juice, and 1/4 ounce Tingala. Add ice, shake until cold. Using a bar spoon, sink into cocktail. And here we have napalm in the morning.
Ooh.
Yeah, give it a go.
See if it smells like napalm in the morning.
Right?
Nothing else in the world smells like that.
The Apple Brandy, you can definitely taste that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In the mixture, and then you get that Tingala, which starts to like kind of creeps in. I'm like starting to really get it now.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
As you could see, it was a layered drink, and it was a little strategic, and I think maybe a little bit of luck too. But basically, we took it from that scene where you see in the beginning of the film, it's in slow motion, and you see everything explode. And then they're with Kilgore, and right before he says his famous line, they drop napalm on that big like range of tropical forest. And so we have a little green down here.
Yeah.
Then we have the yellow, which is sort of like kind of like this explosion.
I don't follow, sir.
It's like early in the morning, right? So you got some like sunrise vibes going on in there, and then that kind of dark purple gloomy top was sort of like that smoke that had like risen from them napalming the area.
Yeah.
Oh yeah?
Really enjoy all the layers, and it was fun to incorporate kind of some different things. We have the moonshine in there, we got the Midori on the bottom, you know, we love the Tingala, and even like the mix of the butterfly pea with the apple brandy and Luxardo on top. A lot of fun stuff going on in this one.
I'm gonna get a picture.
Yeah, speaking of a kind of layered drink with a lot of fun new things, that's coming up.
He's close, man.
The horror. But first, before we do the horror, I would love to ask you that if you're enjoying our content, if you're enjoying our drinks, to let us know in the comments, hit the like button down below, and the subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure you hit that little alert bell because that's going to remind you every single week.
No. I'm not gonna help you.
Yes.
It is time for the horror.
The horror. The horror. The horror. For the horror, you're going to need soju, ube syrup, saline, mango chinola, coconut rum, whole rice milk, and Angostura bitters.
In a mixing glass, combine 1.5 ounces soju, 3/4 of an ounce ube syrup, and a dropper of saline. Add ice and stir until chilled. We're going to strain that into a chilled coupe. Then in a shaker tin, combine 1.5 ounces mango shinola, 3/4 of an ounce coconut rum, and 1/2 ounce of cold rice milk. Add ice, cover, and shake until chilled. Strain into the coupe with your best barista skills and make it wavy. Add drops of Angostura bitters on top and streak through. And here is the horror. So we were kind of going for obviously something a little darker because the Colonel Kurtz compound is a pretty dark place.
You're looking at the heads.
Also a little camouflagey and maybe even a little bloody in a sense. That's why we kind of got the bitters on top.
Are my methods unsound?
These colors definitely go with like the color aesthetic at the very end of the movie. It's like dark, but then there's all this like yellow light reflection from the
flames and the fire.
Yeah, and then they've got like red leis on, and they're like sacrificing a
like a
ox
caribou or a
something,
water buffalo, something.
And then there's that whole scene with Captain Willard, and
He's coming out of the water.
yeah,
Which is one of the most iconic shots in film history, where he's creeping out of the water and the lightning crashes, and yeah, very, very cool shot.
What did you expect?
flavors that we were shooting for here were, of course, mango, because in the movie they talk about eating like endless supply of mango.
Hey, Captain, I want to get some mangoes.
Chef, he goes out to look for mangoes and then almost gets eaten by a tiger.
That too.
Never get out of the boat.
Yeah, other flavors that we were going for was, of course, rice, and then ube, which is a purple sweet potato.
What is it?
That is a prolific like dessert in the eastern countries.
That's Cambodia, Captain.
And this does have a little bit of a desserty kind of taste to it. It's strange. I don't know if I would call it sweet or overly sweet, but it has like almost like a battery, like
Custardy kind
a
of.
custard batter type taste to it. Yeah, it's really quite pleasant without being like over sweet.
My God, the genius of that.
It's a lot like mango sticky rice, so that's the other thing that we're kind of going with the coconut and the mango. You know, again, the ube, those are all like pretty traditional Vietnamese like dessert kind of flavors.
Look at me wrong.
Yeah, it's a very, very tasty drink. We should bring the other one in. Again, pretty stark contrasts to this one. I'm gonna
Yes,
see how this one
morning,
tastes out.
night.
There you go.
I swallowed a book.
So this is actually one of my favorite films of all time. I saw it when I was in high school, and the first time I saw it, immediately grabbed me, was blown away. I was going through a real Vietnam phase. I'd watched The Deer Hunter, Platoon, Full Metal Jacket, and then my dad and I, we had Apocalypse Now, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna throw that in.
Some light TV watching.
Yeah, you know?
I'm good.
And just from the beginning, just blown away. The song, the end by the Doors to start off, that opening montage.
What do you think?
Just an amazing scene. And it's probably my top 5, definitely top 10 all time, I would say so.
Oh, wow.
I wish I had words, you know?
I think what my biggest takeaway was just the madness in the movie, you know, in concert with the documentary, to know that Francis Ford Coppola was trying to like depict exactly how it was out there.
It's what it was really like.
It was crazy. Like,
If it was really like that, whoa.
some of these scenes were nuts. Like, people are like getting shot at, and then Lieutenant Kilgore is like,
That's good, son, because you either serve or fight.
that
And then
is-
they're having like a mass right there, right?
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's pretty, shooting documentaries. Like, he's like, and that was actually Coppola's cameo. He's like,
Don't look at the camera, just go by like you're fighting.
so one thing about this film is there's actually multiple versions of it out there. There's the theatrical cut. There was the Redux that came out in the early 2000s, and now there's the final cut. So we would like to know, what version do you guys like the most? I tend to go towards the theatrical cut. That's the one we watched, so I imagine that's gotta be your favorite.
Yeah.
So that pretty much wraps it up here on the Apocalypse Now episode. I believe this is the end.
boom, boom, boom.
My only friend.
The end. Speaking of the Doors,
Yes. One last thing.
do they have a biopic?
Yeah, and the late Val Kilmer.
Maybe we should do that biopic for a movie, or you tell us which music biopic should we do drinks for?
Because we have wanted to get into making cocktails for music and albums and bands, and that might be a very good entry point.
That's sort of what inspired us to begin with.
Exactly.
So, the beginning and the end.
Right here.
Cheers!
See you next week.